We are live. Welcome to LinkedIn Sites, another episode with an amazing guest, the co-founder of Zadassi, Brad Menachemson. How are you, Brad?
I am awesome. How are you, Jeff?
I'm very well. So let's start with question one. Who are you
Okay.
and what do you do?
Loaded question. My name is Brad Menachemson. What I do, I have a number of interests, but primarily what I would love to discuss and inform everyone in the audience about today is Zadassi, which is a movement that I founded almost a year ago. That's simply the simple mission of supporting women entrepreneurs and women in business to level the playing field, both in relation to access to education and information, as well as access to funding, as well as access to network and community, and try and shift. We're going to try and shift some paradigms, but we just want to get the conversation going. We don't want to be polarized by the statistics out there, how much more difficult it is for a female entrepreneur comparative to a male entrepreneur. We want to do something about it. And that's what Zadassi is all about. And with everyone that's involved, that is our mission and vision.
It's amazing as someone who has two daughters and you see the disparity in lots of different ways still.
Correct.
It's really important to take action and work on it. So I really applaud what you're doing. And you've kind of answered this question about what's the problem that you solve. So do you want to just answer, if people like you kind of talk about who you serve, what are they struggling with that you come in and help them with?
So the problem that we solve more than anything else is access to community and funding. The education part, there are a lot of programs out there. A lot of them I support as well. A lot of them, some of it's been our particular 4-week program have been modeled on, and we've taken different elements because there's some really, really good people doing some really, really good stuff in our space. But where we see the biggest need is with the shift from people leaving their work or their jobs over the last couple of years, particularly women who have now started businesses. As most startups, they don't have access to things that I have access to. I've been 20 years in the industry, mainly being around funding, network, and then the education about how to actually start a business. How to take an idea, form it, and get it to a point where it's actually generating revenue, multiple revenue, so that you can, so they can support and live a life of abundance and possibility. And that's what we've created, and that's our purpose and mission.
And so, obviously, I heard women entrepreneurs, but is there any more context to that in terms of who's really an ideal client for you guys?
So it's women entrepreneurs and women in business. Our program works best really for there's two primary avatars that we call in terms of our target market. The first is women that are already in a small to medium sized business. So they post revenue, they're making whatever they're making, and we're able through our program to be able to take them to that next inflection point in their business. And whatever that big, hairy, audacious goal is, we really zone in and give them the tools as well as the access to network and funding for them to be able to have that huge shift. And that shift is a little bit around mindset, but what we concentrate on is that we concentrate on the entrepreneur or the woman themselves. So we take a 360 holistic viewpoint of a person, meaning that if we are going to be the best and most successful entrepreneur that we possibly can be, it's not just about business. It's about 4 components that we teach. It's around family, it's around belief, which is ourself, it's around community, and it's around business. So we teach that if there is a block or if there is an issue in any of those, it needs to, everyone talks about blind spots. There's a reason why they're blind spots, because we can't see them. We show you the blind spots. We get you the clarity so that you're functioning at the best possible person or entrepreneur that you can be. And that's kind of where the shift happens. Our second probably avatar would be a woman that's looking to get into business. So she wants to start a company. She's got an idea and not sure where to go from there. And that's where we're able to step them through based on all of the incredible people that have joined our organization. So we cover off, and that's our intent, is to cover off every vertical, meaning that if someone comes in with a style of business, we have got the foremost expert that knows that business. And then we can put them under that person, and therefore the learnings are much quicker, and we learn from our mistakes. Our mistakes are simply the guidance for us to go forward. So that's our education. We've all made them. I've made a ton of them. So I'd rather they learn off me and not make the same mistake. Because that's wisdom.
I think the expression I really like that kind of encapsulate this is you either win or you learn.
Absolutely.
I thought that was a good way of it. Well, speaking of education, can you name either a business book or a podcast that you think is worth the time to read or listen to?
Sure. The one that immediately comes to mind is a book that was gifted to me probably about 5 to 6 years ago. It's called The Surrender Experiment by an author, Michael Singer. Now, the reason why I mentioned this book is that, and I'll give it a little quick synopsis. Michael Singer, who's written now 3 books, and the other ones are just as incredible, but this is about his story. All he wanted to do was to go and find a remote plot of land and sit there and meditate. That's it. That's what he wanted to do with his life. And then he said, I'm going to surrender to any opportunity that presents itself in front of me and see where it takes me. He ended up building a $1 billion business. He is one of the most successful entrepreneurs as well as thought leaders. And just reading that story where it can apply practical knowledge and sense, which is what I like, to some mystical theory around surrendering and what happens if you do that. What happens if you allow that opportunity? But you have to be very clear to be able to see the possibility and opportunity. That book is his story, and then the further books are the how to do it. So I just love his series.
Yeah, and I love the idea of combining practical and just otherworldly. I think it's not an either or. It's not like people are either all the way in here or all the way that you need kind of both. And I think they help feed each other.
Completely. So we've got a logical mind and we've got a visionary mind. Yes, so, exactly. All of us are analytical to a point. So if we can then combine those two and be a little bit less analytical, and so we can then just step into a different realm, but understanding that we are creatures and there are habits and there are backgrounds, and that's going to influence us. And as soon as we can start surrendering to some of that, it's amazing what opportunities all of a sudden present themselves that were always there. We just weren't open to seeing them.
Yeah, and I think a lot of times people have difficulty detaching. They're holding on to something that's not necessarily positive or helpful, but it's sometimes hard to release it. And I think that idea of surrendering is really powerful.
Yes.
Brett, can you name a brand that you admire?
Look, there's many, and I was giving it some thought. There's an organization called Give to Give. It's an organization that really I only found out about last week. What they do is they go into the worst, most dangerous prisons around the world, and put the education through from a person that I just was fortunate to spend 7 days with, which is Dr. Joe Dispenza. He has a teaching and learnings through meditation and life change, and he has taught that program to this organization, and they go into to people that are really suffering, communities that are really suffering, prisons, veterans suffering from PTSD, Navy SEALs, the worst prisons in the world, and they go in and they teach his learnings. And I was able to witness it. I was able to see some remarkable stories come out of it. And it's an organization that everybody needs to hear about. So it's called Give to Give, and they are literally changing lives of the people that are hardest hit in this world.
I think that's great. It's clear. Yeah, there's a lot of people that are kind of voiceless or forgotten about that, need help as much as everyone else. Now, this is a
Absolutely.
tricky one. Can you name a LinkedIn connection, other than myself, of course, that you're glad you have? Give a shout out to someone who's a connection. Like, for one reason or another, you're happy that you're connected to them.
It is a difficult one because obviously there are so many. There is a woman by the name of Winnie Hart. I met her at a part of an organization called EO, which is an entrepreneur organization. And I met her at a women's summit in Barcelona in July. She is just a fabulous human being. She's a champion for change. She's a champion for women. She has a branding company. She is brilliant. And she's someone who over the last couple of days we connected, but I've reconnected with. So she's the first person that comes to mind. So I will give Winnie Hart a shout out.
Yeah, I ask that question to a lot of people, and it's hope everyone knows, like, Brad isn't excluding anyone. He's just highlighting one person right at the moment.
Exactly right.
People are too sensitive.
Well, how long interview have we got? I mean, I can go through the rest of the list, but it's going to get boring.
No, we'll just say go look at all of Brad's connections. They're all amazing people. I followed up with a very, hopefully, easy question. I'm obsessed with purple. What's your favorite color?
My favorite color is black. It's the color that always resonates with me. It's the color of nothing, so which I kind of like.
Meditation, kind of zen.
Yeah. It's like I want to stand whenever I'm anywhere. I want to stand out, not what I'm wearing or the colors around me. I want my energy and personality to be the thing that attracts people to me. So I like plain colors. As well, I was just thinking, because I've gone so gray, Jeff, exactly like you. I think black kind of suits us.
I agree. It's funny because purple and gray are also fairly good complementary colors.
You know what the thing is? Our branding colors for Zadasi is exactly your color, is purple. So our company primary color is purple. So I've got to throw that in. Otherwise, my co-founders will have me.
And we love purple here. We love purple because purple is the color of nobility.
That's it. Exactly right.
It's royalty. If part of what I do is create animated videos for people. If I was going to create an animated video for Zadasi, what is it you'd want people to remember about the business?
I want people to remember that access to their own personal greatness through unblocking themselves to a realm of possibility that exists for absolutely everyone, irrespective of your background and where you are, is just simply a click away. If they just go in onto our landing page and click in and get into an interview with one of us, we do it for free anyway, the half-hour interview. And then if they are interested in personal growth and they really have to be coachable and they have to really want it, if they really want it, then we've got the secret sauce to be able to give it to them.
Yeah, I think that's an important point, that a lot of times you have something you can offer people, but if they don't want it, it won't work. It's not a good
We
fit.
don't, we just say not now. No, we say just not now. And that's why we have a very strong screening process, because not only is it going to cost you money, it's going to cost you time. But if you're not ready for it, then you're not ready for it. It's just not the right time. It's not now. But, and we use not now. And then you never know when, you are going to be ready. But unless you can wholly commit to change, then change will never happen.
I couldn't agree more. And finally, there's a pantheon of animated characters in popular culture and otherwise. Can you name a favorite animated character?
Homer Simpson.
Homer Simpson. He is pretty amazing.
Look, it's funny. I don't watch a lot of TV and certainly a lot of animation. The Simpsons, I started watching The Simpsons, I think, when I was 10, and I'm not going to age myself, but that's like 30 plus years ago, right? And they're still going. And that character is still the same. And I get the same enjoyment out of watching a Simpsons episode now as I did back then. So Homer Simpson is my man.
Yeah, I think one of the reasons that The Simpsons is as good as the writing is phenomenal. And for someone who thinks in story, they just do a phenomenal job of having the writing that supports these characters and the personalities, and they're very consistent. And I love Homer. It's hard not to.
Exactly.
He's just a lovable guy despite his flaws, and I think that's something that that's relatable, because we all have we have our own version of a Homer Simpson inside us, where we're doing something stupid from time to time, but I think his heart's usually in the right place.
Well, that's it. It's like, it's taking yourself back to child. If you can go back to a child and the enjoyment that we can see that children have, right, where we can do stupid things. We can play, we can have fun, and that's where the magic happens.
Yeah, and I also believe there's a quote which is, "You don't stop playing because you grow old. You grow old because you stop playing," or something along those lines.
Exactly.
And I think it's super important to play. Thank you for taking the time to play a little with me. I appreciate it. Everyone go check out Brad and his many connections. And thanks so much for sharing your time and your insights.
No, I thank you, and I appreciate and love you. Thank you, Jeff. It's been fun.
Awesome. Thanks so much. Look for us next time on LinkedIn Sites, and we are going